Hello and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Kate and Eric Show. So this last week, I had my wife and I were sick, and so I did not do it Thursday. If you're expecting an episode Thursday, I apologize. So this is kind of be this episode here will be a twofer, meaning we are actually going to my family and I. We're going to Florida for a funeral, so there will not be an episode this Thursday either. So between sickness and a funeral, this is the only episode for a couple weeks. So we'll be back. I'll be back later, not next week, but the week after. So welcome to the show. Here we go. It is a beautiful day here in the DFW area. Apparently, it's going to get into the 20s and possibly single digits here over the weekend and into Monday, and possible sleet and snow, and I hate that. So that will be great. For the rest of you north of us that have already experienced it, that's why I don't live up there anymore, because I hate it. But anyway, so apparently we're going to get some winter weather. The changing of the climate that happens every year, where it gets colder in the winter and it gets hot in the summer. That's kind of how the world works, the earth works, and it's not because you're driving your car or flying in an airplane. Anyway, so yes, welcome to the show, the Kate and Eric Show podcast. Wherever you listen to your podcast, it is there. And you can also follow me here on Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, and Truth Social, Kate and Eric Show on all of those. So we've had some fun things going on here the last few weeks. Sadly, the college football, we'll start with sports like always. The college football season is officially over. Michigan is perfect and is the national champion. So congratulations to Michigan. That's awesome. Great work. Good job for them. Once Texas lost to Washington, which it just sucks that we got like the godlike Penix in the semifinal, and Michigan got like the broken one. So I don't understand how that happened or why that happened, but apparently it did. Michigan won the national championship, so congratulations to Michigan. The first games of the NFL playoffs start today. I know the Texans play the Browns, which is awesome. Excited for the Texans to play. They won their division at 10-7. That's awesome. So yeah, today, which you'll be hearing this in the future, so this actually already have happened, which is kind of fun. But yeah, Texans and Browns, Dolphins and Chiefs today, and then the Packers, so go Pack, play the Cowboys, and Lions play the Rams tomorrow. And then Monday, the Steelers and Bills, because apparently it's too freaking cold up there in Buffalo, so they can't play that game. So that got pushed to Monday, and then the Eagles and Bucks play on Monday as well. So just some fun sports. There's all big name sport our head coaches that have either gotten fired or retired or left at their own fruition. I'll start in the NFL here. We'll start with Pete Carroll, who was the head coach for the Seattle Seahawks as well. Back in the day, he was the head coach for the USC Trojans. He got fired. So there's that, which I'm not a big, because I didn't like USC back in the day. And then I didn't, just because the games played, I didn't like Seattle either. So, dang it. Sucks for him, I guess. And then the other big news, Bill Belichick is now gone. They have he's parted ways with New England. So New England is without a coach, and that's crazy that Bill Belichick is gone from the New England Patriots. I mean, eventually it would have happened, but just one of those things, I guess. It happens. Then the other big news is that Nick Saban is gone from Alabama. So he has decided to retire, and I have actually a little clip from him. My wife's friend, she went to Alabama and is a huge, Roll Tide person, and yeah, she was a little disappointed in it. I think everybody there's a statue of him already in Tuscaloosa, and people are putting flowers at it. I saw a sign that says "R.I.P. Thank you for the memories" or something like that. And I was talking to one of my friends, and we're like, "He's not dead," or my stepson, I forget what, but it was like he didn't die. He's just retired. But this is what he had to say after he decided to leave.
Retire. No, I don't think there's any good time, especially when you're a coach, because once you're a coach, you think you're going to be a coach forever. But I actually thought that in hiring coaches, recruiting players, that my age started to become a little bit of an issue. People wanted assurances that I would be here for 3 years, 5 years, whatever, and it got harder and harder for me to be honest about. And to be honest, this last season was grueling. It was a real grind for us to come from where we started to where we got to. Took a little more out of me than usual, and when people mentioned the health issue, it was really just the grind of, can you do this the way you want to do it? Can you do it the way you've always done it, and be able to sustain it and do it for the entire season? And if I couldn't make a commitment to do that in the future, the way I think I have to do it, I thought maybe this was the right time based on those two sets of circumstances. That, like I said, there's never a good time, but I thought maybe this was the right time.
So there's no illness. It's just the grind and the gruel of the season.
Yeah, there's no illness. Miss Terry's fine. I'm fine. But it was can you sustain the season? From just a mental grind standpoint. And when I was young, I could work till 2 a.m, get up at 6, and be there the next day and be full of energy and go for it. But when you get a little older, that gets a little tougher, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
So it's an end of an era, obviously, with him leaving. So it'll be interesting. But I did see a report where the coach for, and I forget his name, from Washington will now be the head coach for Alabama. The Huskies, they went to the national championship and lost. So apparently he'll be the new coach for Alabama. So kind of the sports update for today. So this week, these last couple weeks, it's been a lot. There's been a lot of news, a lot of things come out. Of course, there's obviously the Epstein list, which is super fun. That's awesome. Just the list, I think I mentioned this a little bit a week ago, was Prince Andrew has been accused, Bill Clinton, apparently Donald Trump was there, but he did not participate in any of the stuff. That's been pretty clear. Dang, the liberals are probably, and Democrats are like, dang it, why couldn't he have done it so we could have this too? Hillary Clinton, David Copperfield, John... Connolly, there's Leonardo DiCaprio, Al Gore, Richard Branson. He's the Virgin Group guy. Stephen Hawking. There's been a few memes about him that Jeffrey Epstein didn't discriminate in his clientele list. Michael Jackson, Kevin Spacey. George Lucas, that's interesting. Kate Blanchett. Now, all these names, that doesn't necessarily mean that they participated in the disgusting acts, but just that they were there, or went, or apparently Naomi Campbell. If you'll read the word and speak it, that would be helpful. Heidi Klum, Bruce Willis. Apparently he's not doing very good right now. Bill Richardson, he was a former governor of New Mexico. Cameron Diaz, I'm just looking at there's this list here. Chris Tucker, dang, I liked him growing up. I thought he was awesome in Rush Hour, but it's teenager back then. Robert Kennedy Jr. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people on this list. And this is from the Independent. So there's a whole bunch of names that I don't know who any of these people are. So anyway, yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot of names. Just discuss. I don't know. I don't understand that. I don't understand how you can do these awful things with children. That just blows my mind. I don't understand it at all. But apparently, this information was, a reporter, and I don't know who she's with. I don't know what her name is, so I apologize for that. But she did this interview, and she had all this information about Jeffrey Epstein, like years prior to any of this garbage coming out, and it was silenced. And this is kind of what she had to say about it.
For 3 years, I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying, there will come a day where we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago. So, do I think he was killed? 100%. Yes, I do.
Well, duh.
Because he made his whole living blackmailing people. Yeah. There were a lot of men in those planes, a lot of men who visited that island, a lot of powerful men who came into that apartment.
So apparently they had this information, and she speaks of the palace, meaning the British palace. They tried to squash this story. The powers that be, these evil, disgusting, powerful people, decided to try to squash this thing as much as they could. But the truth will come out boldly and nobly. And you can't hide. They can't hide their disgusting sins forever. And just awful. I don't understand it. It just baffles my mind. I don't get it at all. Just awfulness. So we kind of keep an eye on that. But in other things here, there's a lot of things. Hunter Biden decided to show up at the congressional hearing that was deciding him. He decided just to show up right out of the blue, and it was quite the circus with that. So here's kind of how that went. Let me pull this. Oops, sorry about that. Let me pull that up here real quick. And I mean, he can show up to just sit there in the audience, but he can't sit there. He can't show up to testify. So here is, it was just a crap show, but here's what happened.
Who bribed Hunter Biden to be here today? That's my first question. Second question, you are the epitome of white privilege, coming into the Oversight Committee, spitting in our face, ignoring a congressional subpoena to be deposed. What are you afraid of? You have no balls to come up here and...
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, so that's Nancy Mace, the Republican from South Carolina speaking. And then she gets interrupted by, I don't know who, but some douchebag Democrat. And it's well, you just have to listen.
Point of inquiry.
Mr. Chairman,
If the gentle lady wants to hear from Hunter Biden, we can hear from him right now, Mr. Chairman. Let's take a vote and hear from Hunter Biden. What are you afraid of?
Hold on. Order.
Are women allowed to speak in here or no? Are women allowed to speak in here or no? You keep interrupting me.
I'll interrupt the
You
chairman.
keep
I don't
interrupting.
know that he's a lady.
I think that Hunter Biden should be arrested right here, right now, and go straight to jail. Our nation is founded
Absolutely.
on the rule of law
Come on.
and the premise that the law applies equally to everyone, no matter what your last
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Point of
It
order.
doesn't matter who you are.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Biggs over here.
Donald Trump Jr.
Biggs over here.
State your point, Mr.
Yeah, my point of order is this. Are we going to continue on with this blatant interruption? This is absurd and inappropriate. I intend to give my statement. I don't intend to have anybody interrupt it. I'm not going to interrupt your statements. I think you should have decorum and courtesy and don't act like a bunch of nimrods.
You just interrupted.
And that's fine.
I got permission.
Oh, he wanted to say something else.
Everyone has
Mr.
5
Chairman.
minutes. Can we agree?
Point of order again. The assertion that I interrupted was absolutely false. That's typical of the gentleman who spoke it. I got permission to speak from the chairman. I spoke. I was interrupted yet again by the gentleman who doesn't choose to go through the chair and follow proper order. I encourage us. I think if we're going to have any respect at all, we need to have proper decorum.
Well said. Well said.
I'd like to finish.
The rules are everyone's going to be recognized for 5 minutes. Anyone that wants to be recognized will be recognized for 5 minutes. Ms. Mace has 4 minutes and 13 seconds left. Chair recognizes Ms. Mace.
It does not matter who you are, where you come from, or who your father is, or your last name. Yes, I'm looking at you, Hunter Biden, as I'm speaking to you. You are not above the law at all. The facts in this case are crystal clear. This committee used and issued a lawful subpoena to Hunter Biden, a critical witness in this committee's investigation into Biden family corruption. Hunter Biden and his lawyers did not claim privilege of any kind because clearly he has none. They didn't contest the legitimacy of our reasons for issuing this subpoena, no reasons, because they clearly are legitimate. And yet, he refused to comply. Trump's family members, Donald Trump Jr., he did not defy a congressional subpoena. He showed up multiple times for multiple depositions for several hours. In doing so, Hunter Biden broke the law. He did so deliberately. You did so flagrantly. You showed up on the Hill, on the Senate side, the day of that congressional subpoena to defy it and spit in the face of this committee. That's what you did. The question the American people are asking us is, what is Hunter Biden so afraid of? Why can't you show up for a congressional deposition? You're here for a political stunt. This is just a PR stunt to you. This is just a game that you are playing with the American people. You're playing with the truth. Hunter Biden wasn't afraid to sell access to Joe Biden to the highest bidder when he was in elected office. He wasn't afraid to trade on the Biden brand, peddle influence, and share those ill-gotten gains with members of his family, including Joe Biden. He wasn't afraid to compromise the integrity of the presidency and vice presidency by involving Joe Biden in shady business deals with our foreign adversaries. But Hunter Biden, you were too afraid to show up for a deposition. And you still can't today. I believe that Hunter Biden should be held completely in contempt. I think he should be hauled off to jail right now, because it wasn't long ago, too, my friends on the other side of the aisle, that you also believed in the power of a congressional subpoena. Not long ago at all. You believed in holding those who refused to comply with congressional subpoena accountable. And I stood with each and every one of you. I am the only member in this room today who has held a member of my own party in contempt of Congress for not showing up for a subpoena. And I see nothing but complete hypocrisy on the other side of the aisle. The ranking member of this committee even so eloquently put it, the lesson is, please tell your children out there in America, if you get a subpoena to go before Congress, go. You have a legal responsibility to do so. So the hypocrisy is stunning. What are we to tell our children today? There's nothing the other side can say with a straight face. As the only member of this committee to vote to hold a member of contempt of my own party, let me be clear, this should not be a partisan issue. If Congress issues a subpoena, you show up, period. This is not a responsibility we take lightly. It brings no joy for us to do this, but the president's son broke the law and must be held accountable in the same way anybody else would. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to do so. And my last message to you, Hunter Biden, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Will the gentlelady yield for a question? Will the gentlelady yield? Will my friend yield from South Carolina?
Sure.
I do want to commend the gentlelady who was the only Republican who stood up and voted to hold in contempt the Republican members of the House who blatantly and categorically refused to comply with subpoenas that came from the bipartisan January 6th committee. I would like to ask my friend Ms. Mace from South Carolina whether she's aware of all the case law which says that the committee has to engage in good faith interaction with the witnesses they've called, and they're supposed to arrive at a solution. And what do you think about the fact that the chairman on multiple occasions gave this witness the opportunity to come before the full committee, and he agreed to that?
We issued a congressional subpoena, and I know with your constitutional law background, you know exactly what that means, and he should have showed up. And because of your vote and because of your statements, you should be voting to hold this man in contempt of Congress today, right now, if you're going to be consistent on your own policies and your own words.
Gentlelady's time's expired.
Who bribed Hunter Biden?
So, yeah. So unless your name is a Biden or unless you're a Democrat, the laws and other things don't really apply to you. But it wasn't over. It was not over after that. He gets up and just leaves when Marjorie Taylor Greene decides to question him as well. So here's that.
Gentlemen, time's expired. Chair recognizes Ms. Green from Georgia for 5 minutes.
Oh,
Thank you,
he's
Mr.
got to hurry and
Chairman.
leave now.
Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my words. Oh. I like to reclaim my time, Mr. Chairman.
Burst their bubble.
Wow, that's too bad. I think it's clear and obvious for everyone watching this hearing today that Hunter Biden is terrified of strong conservative Republican women because he can't even face my words as I was about to speak to him. What a coward.
Gentlemen, time's expired. Chair.
So yeah, so after that, he just gets up and leaves. There was a reporter that asked him, let's have a listen. So yeah, so right after he leaves, he's out there, there's 100, press and reporters and blah, but some reporter yells this to him.
Could you please, I'll answer your question if you be quiet and let me make a statement, okay? Crack do you normally smoke, Mr. Biden? Let me start here. What's your favorite type of crack?
Why did you put your dad on speakerphone if he had nothing to do with your business? You put him on speakerphone multiple times to talk to your business partners. Why did you do that?
Do you have a dad? Does he call you?
Yes.
To the phone?
Yes.
Okay.
But why did you need to talk to him during business meetings if he had nothing to do with your business?
To talk about the weather, of course.
You're very dangerous.
You are the epitome of white.
So anyway. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. I love it. Love it. What kind of crack? Are you on crack today? Oh, it's a clown show. But sadly and unfortunately, is anything going to come? I hope so. I'm optimistic about it. Hopefully something will happen with this, and then he will have his nice little permanent vacation in a nice concrete and iron housing. Yeah, that would be great. But, who knows? Who knows nowadays? But one thing that I did want to get to that is kind of interesting, you know, I've talked about the senator from Pennsylvania before, John Fetterman, you know, the guy who had the massive stroke, I think it was last year. And where, you know, he had the massive stroke and he couldn't debate, he couldn't do any kind of, you know, didn't really do anything with Dr. Oz last year, or yeah, it was last anyway. So, you know, he had the massive stroke, and then, you know, the first quarter of last year, no, has that already been a year? Holy crap, wow, time flies when you're having fun. But so yeah, 2022, yeah, that was the year, not 2023, because he's been there for a year. Because the first quarter of last year, he was out. You know, they said he was under depression, but you know, he was trying to recover, and it's just interesting to see what has happened to him now that he's recovered a bit. Because this is the guy that was. If I can get this pulled up right. This is the guy that said all this kind of stuff. So the audio might not be as great, but this is the guy from, you know, after the stroke.
And the Eagles are so much better than the Eagles. No.
Then there's this.
To make sure that we get this fixed quick, fast as well, too. I'm standing next to the president again, next to a collapsed bridge here. And he is here to commit to work with the governor and the delegation to make sure that we get this fixed quick, fast as well, too. No, I would just really like to, you know, the 95, you know, obviously that, you know, you're pretty much preoccupied with 95, and I certainly am too, and we know it's a major artery, not just for Pennsylvania, but for the East Coast.
So that's the guy that had, had all those problems, you know. The Eagles are so much better than the Eagles. No. I think he meant to say Steelers. So just kind of some interesting things that have been happening with him. I guess when your brain recovers, you know, kind of your common sense comes back after having a massive stroke like he did. Because there's a few clips here that I want to play for that he said, and it's just kind of baffling, really.
There's a crisis at the border, and I don't know how anybody could pretend that there isn't.
So there's that, you know, there's a crisis at the border. He's a Democrat, by the way, P.S. You know, he blatantly says that there's a crisis at the border, which is 100% true. Just to give you a little bit of some numbers here, if you're a numbers person, the illegal immigrant encounters during the Obama years was a little over 5 million. Under Trump, it was 4.7 million. And so far with Biden, and we still have another year. Oh. But there's already both Obama and the Trump numbers combined, there has been more than that in a matter of 12 years. Okay. Exactly 12 million. A little over 12 million illegal encounters in 3 years of Biden. So in 3 years, 12 million people, you know, encounters. I mean, we're setting records all the time with thousands and thousands and thousands coming across. I mean, last month, the month of December, there were over 300,000 that came across just in December alone, all by itself. So between Obama and Trump, those 12 years, there have been more in the last 3. So that's great. That's awesome. Isn't that fun? That's fun. And we have no idea who these people are. And then we'll get back to the Fetterman here. But then New York, the awesome mayor that's up in New York, this is what they want you to do up in the great state of New York.
It is my vision to take the next step to this, to go to the faith-based locales, and then move to private residence. There are residents who are suffering right now because of economic challenges. They have spare rooms, they have locales, and if we can find a way to get over the 30-day rule and other rules that government has in its place, we can take that $4.2 billion, 4.3 it may be now, that we potentially have to spend, and we can put it back in the pockets of everyday New Yorkers, everyday houses of worship, instead of putting it in the pockets of corporations, and some of those corporations.
So basically he's saying, because over last week or this week here, they in New York decided to kick out a bunch of students and house illegals in their elementary school. So that's what they're doing up in New York, and that won't be enough. So they're suggesting right now, basically, he's saying, if you want to make a little extra money, here, house this random person that came across our border that we don't have any idea who they are. We don't know why they're here. We don't know anything. They haven't been properly vetted. But just if you got an extra room, just here you go. Have somebody in your house. So, in New York, those of you that are in New York, how about you say, Mayor Adams, how about you first? And your lovely governor, how about you house your people in your house first, and all of your friends there. You show us by example. Why don't you do that? But that's what they want to do in New York. They want these illegals to be housed in your house. But back to John Fetterman here. It is really just kind of amazing once your brain starts working right, that you make some common sense. Because this is another thing that he had to say about the Israel and Hamas.
If anyone that believes in a ceasefire, I would just say let's call for Hamas to surrender and we'll put down their guns, and then that would end all of the misery and the killing and everything. I believe to be on the right side for Israel on this, and I believe that we will never have peace or a stable two-state solution unless we destroy Hamas.
Well, I agree. And then this is about on that same line. This is also what he had to say.
Who are they really fighting? It's a group of cowards. They hide in tunnels. They hide behind civilians. They attack, kill, and mutilate children, women, and they do that. Stop talking about proportion on that. They shot their best shot on October 7th, and they would have taken more lives if they couldn't do that, but they couldn't do it. And now let's also talk about that. Now we're talking about genocide, and now South Africa is bringing that kind of a trial. Maybe South Africa ought to sit this one out when they're talking about genocide.
Yeah, because the big news. So isn't that interesting? I'll get to the South Africa thing here in a second. But it's interesting that once his brain's kind of recovering, some common sense kind of comes back. It's interesting. Maybe Biden should do the same thing and then kind of go away for a while. Although he's been gone for like the whole time he's been president. But yeah, President pooped his pants. Yeah, he probably should just go away, leave. Bye-bye. But yeah, so South Africa is now filing in international courts against Israel with genocide. So yeah, he's right. You might South Africa there. You might want to just sit over there in the corner and be quiet. But it's just interesting, though. I thought it was very interesting that he's making. I mean, this is a. He's said it himself years before that he's a progressive and he's a Democrat, but he's making some sense with some of this stuff. Not that I would, not that I would necessarily vote for him if he were here in Texas, but just some interesting things there. Just that he's kind of coming around there, which is interesting. It's interesting. But yes, the world is in a fun little place right now. So 2024 is going to be fun. The Iowa caucuses are coming up, with their primaries coming up, I believe Monday. So it's going to be freaking cold up there. There was the debate between Chris Christie's out. He's decided to bow out of the presidential race. So ding, that's too bad. So if you're a Chris Christie fan, sorry, but not really. So yeah, there was a debate between DeSantis and Nikki Haley this week. Trump decided, he's never going to come to any of these things, so he decided to have his own little thing on Fox, and it was just his thing. I didn't really watch the debate between DeSantis and Haley because I don't want to hear her talk. I don't really, the whole state, continuing this war with, Ukraine. Why aren't there, and I've said this before, but why isn't there a call for a ceasefire for that? Why isn't there a call for some kind of a truce or, to end this thing? I mean, we're going on, 2 years, 3 years with this? Why aren't there marches for the end of this? Why isn't there marches for the end of that? The proxy war with Russia that we're doing. But yeah, they can march in the streets by the tens of thousands for what happened to Israel, and when Israel responds, yeah, they can march against that, but they can't march against this. But yeah, so there's that going on still too. So 2024 is going to be fun. It's going to be great year. But if you want some change, you want something different, you want a different outcome of the economy, you want your bank account to be better, don't vote the way we're currently at and the reason we're at where we're at. Please don't vote that way. And then the final thing I wanted to get to here today. Actually, let's do this other thing too. Well, this lovely lady from NYU, the student from NYU, she tore down posters of the Israeli hostages, and she doesn't like the consequences that have happened. Your actions have consequences, and she didn't like what had happened to her because she tore down the posters. Obviously she's pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas supporter, and she didn't like the fact that the Israeli hostages, the posters, were put up all over, and so she decided to tear them down and probably thought, nothing's going to happen to me, but quite frankly it did. And this is her little sad story of what happened to her because she tore down some posters.
I was filmed tearing down these posters outside of Tisch Hall. A student at NYU circulated the video on social media, and she was calling for us to be doxxed. Shortly after, celebrities, public figures, and Zionist platforms with millions of followers were sharing our information publicly. The student also created a petition, which received over 10,000 signatures to call for the expulsion of everyone in the video. I faced relentless backlash from right-wing media and news outlets for weeks.
Oh, no.
Most calling for me to be jailed, expelled, deported, assaulted, and to be sent to Gaza. NYU refused to cover off-campus housing. because I'm on a scholarship, so I couldn't really afford to live in New York otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
So despite it being
sad,
it like no longer being safe for me to live in dorms, they denied me access to off-campus housing, and now they're denying me access to higher education.
So just to get this straight, NYU suspended you, took away your scholarship, made it impossible for you to afford housing, all because you tore down a poster.
Mm-hmm. As a part of my scholarship, that would grant me on-campus housing, and so because I was suspended, I would have to move off campus after the semester, essentially kicking me out of the dorms. Leaving me unhoused, and also denying me access to any higher education until fall 2024.
Oh, no.
Wow.
And they have also restricted my privileges, so I am not able to attend on-campus, off-campus events or participate in any student clubs.
Oh, no. I'm crying for her. She can't participate in the clubs and the other things. Wow. Well, then maybe you've learned your lesson that your actions have consequences there, honey. And people didn't like the fact that that pictures of hostages were being torn down. So maybe you can learn a lesson and not blame all these, she calls them Zionists. And, quite frankly, if you are here as a guest, if you're here as on a student visa and you're not an actual citizen of the United States and you do these kinds of things and you complain about it, we don't need you here. Sorry about that. We don't need you here. If you don't like our policies, you don't like the things that we do here in the United States of America, you can go back to wherever the crap that you came from. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, and I'll help you pack. But yes, actions have consequences, and these people that are tearing down these posters of these innocent Israelis that were kidnapped, brutalized, raped, and all kinds of horrible, awful things. That's more important than your stupid little feelings about the fact that you're getting kicked out of NYU because you tore down their posters. So actions have consequences there. And in the day and age that we live in with social media and things, kind of be careful what you do because you never know who's watching or recording for that matter. But it's just despicable. These people, they want to blame everything. They want to blame all their problems and not take any responsibility for their actions. So one final thing here. I just wanted to get that out there because it's just pathetic. One final thing, working in healthcare, one thing that, I have visited and helped out a lot of people in different nursing facilities. And I came across this particular ad for this nursing facility and just kind of wanted you to enjoy this and just take a listen.
Exquisite house-made meals. Well, I've been eating everything that's put in front of me. I've been eating all Italian food, basically. And ice cream. Chocolate chip ice cream.
White House Senior Living, where residents feel like presidents.
Oh, yeah, chocolate chip ice cream. That's what I got at my White House Senior Living. And I get to go to the beach and drag around my chair. And then just kind of sit there and have my pudding and ice cream. That's what I get to do at White House Senior Living. It's great. I can eat pizza and pretend that I'm the President of the United States, even though I'm really not. But yeah, so I thought you'd enjoy that. But anyway, hopefully you have a great week. I will not be here for this next coming week, so this will be the only episode until 2 weeks. Week and a half from now. I will get out another episode here the 25th. So hopefully you have a great week. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is Monday, so hopefully you have a great day there. I think if he were here today, he would be quite disgusted with what's happened and all the racism crap that is going on. So have a great weekend. Have a great week. I will be here in about a week and a half, next Thursday the 25th, because we're going to my stepson's dad's funeral in Florida this coming week. So we'll be driving there, so hopefully the roads are okay. And we're going to be doing that instead. So there'll be no episode this week. So this episode is for last week and this week, and then I'll be back the 25th. For a new episode and new fun information and just great news. So hopefully have a great week. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. It's getting cold. Even here in Texas, it's getting cold. So hopefully have a great week. And I will talk with you next time. Bye-bye.